Hello out there in YouTube world. It's another edition of the Carolina Sports Guy. Today we're going to be talking about those Carolina Panthers. A couple things I want to kind of hammer down before we get into this preseason game against the Pittsburgh Steelers to finally narrow down our 80-man roster to 53, find out who's going to be on the practice squad next week from there. Before we get into today's content, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It's free of charge. Helping brother out, folks. A lot of people are watching and need some subscriptions. It does help. Pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future content on the Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, Carolina Hurricanes, and major college sports in both North and South Carolina. And by all means, folks, leave some comments. I love the dialogue. All right, folks. Kind of did a video the last couple of days. I've done one on the cutting down the 80-man roster. My prediction to get to 53, so I kind of got down to 25 on offense. Then another video on the defense. I was fresh off the presses when I did the one on offense about Robbie Anderson getting his 2-year extension. But little did we know when I was making the one on defense that Denzel Perryman's situation with the trade, and also picking up a kicker, Eberle, from, I'm trying to think of who we picked him up from. Could have been the Jets, I'm not sure. But anyway, he didn't last long, and we've gone out and made a trade earlier today to the Giants for a kicker. So we'll get into that content and kind of just some things to look at. I kind of really wanted to pick up on these things and tidy it up a little bit, change our little couple projections we had on the roster, and also just kind of giving you an insight on some guys we might need to pay attention to tomorrow night. Some interesting battles I think we need to pay attention to, because these are guys that are either going to make the squad, guys that aren't going to make it, and we might be surprised at ones we keep, ones we don't, and then are any of these eligible to be put on the practice squad. So first off, Denzel Perryman, it really kind of wrecked me. I thought there was a chance, if you go back and look at my last video, he could be cut because he'd been injured the whole time, hadn't played. Jermaine Carter came in, took the spot. The rules doesn't need him to start at middle linebacker. And then you got a guy like Frankie Louvu, who's come in and exceeded expectations, in my opinion, as a free agent from the Jets. And it was like, okay, but if we keep Perryman, because, okay, he's nicked up, but when he does play, he seems to do really well. He's just not very durable. And I thought we could stick this guy as our 5th, 6th linebacker, give us some depth, kind of spell some guys, and we wouldn't miss a beat. But we traded him. We traded him in a 7th round pick for a 6th round pick. So, hey, look, we did pretty good this year in the 6th round on a couple of our picks. One of them I was a little hesitant about. I won't get into that today. So being that Perryman's been traded, we know Carter's going to start in the middle. We can say Shaq Thompson's going to be on one outside. And Hassan Reddick, I think the last video I put Reddick as a 4th or 5th man. I didn't mean it that he was a 4th or 5th guy, you know, like he was not going to start. I just was talking about guys we were going to keep. Because Hassan Reddick is definitely probably going to start. He's going to get spelled some because he's going to come in and brief sprints. You know, a pass rushing linebacker like he is, going to spell him a little bit. But he's probably going to be the other starting outside linebacker. And I think Frankie Louvu's elevated himself up. Don't know if he'll play middle, but he'll probably play the outside. So maybe he'll be a guy that kind of takes Reddick's place when he comes in. Julian Stanford, I think he's a keeper. He's a guy that didn't have keeping at first. I think he's our 5th linebacker. And maybe he's a guy that can kind of come in and take Shaq Thompson's place some. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. Celestine, I don't think is going to make the roster, like I said. And I do think Patty Fisher will be cut. But I do think Fisher will be put on the practice squad. I won't change my mind there. I don't know if another team will pick him up. I doubt they will. But I do think we'll have room for him on the practice squad. So I think we're going to keep 6 linebackers. We could keep 7. If we keep 7, that means Bynes is making the squad and probably Clay Johnston. I don't know if we'll pick up another linebacker from another squad, but let's just say for all shits and giggles that we keep these 2. Now, if we only keep 6, we're either going to keep Bynes and we're going to cut Clay Johnston and we're going to move Johnston to the practice squad. But in my opinion, that's why you got to pay attention to this battle tomorrow night. What does Bynes do? Does he look good? If he doesn't get many looks or doesn't impress, and Clay Johnston's still out there playing in the middle behind Carter, Clay Johnston's probably going to get that 6th spot, and Bynes might be waived. But maybe they'll give a strong look to Bynes, and maybe they'll keep him for the depth. and it maybe Klay Thompson will be guy number 7, or maybe they'll move him to the practice squad if no one picks him up. So we got to look at that. Now, I did want to look at the kickers because I do believe that Sly's gone. I just think he is, folks. And I know he'll kick some tomorrow night, but I just think his confidence is gone. He's got a good leg, it's strong, but he's just inconsistent. And we picked up this guy, Dominique Eberle. I know he played college like at Utah State, but evidently he did not impress the kickers. You know, we had cut defensive end Ladarius Wiley to make room for him, but Wiley wasn't going to make the squad anyway. So Eberle is out the door already. And we traded a 7th round pick. I think one we had gotten from the Dolphins. I don't know if it's one we got from the Dolphins for Greg Little, but we did trade a 7th round pick to get Ron Santoso, I guess that's his name. And he kicked for the University of Minnesota. He's been in Detroit's camp. They said he really pushed Graham Gano in New York, but he wasn't going to get the job. I don't know how strong his leg is, but they do say he's consistent in short range, so we'll have to go from there. Now, one thing I did read and pick up on him, he did also do some punting in college, and that's not to say that we're going to get rid of Chandler. But if Chandler was to get hurt, you could bring this guy in maybe as a backup punter, have that assurance just in case of emergency. I hope we wouldn't need that. Now, tomorrow night, I definitely think keep an eye on Martez Ivey, Aaron Monterio, and Mike Horton. I don't think either 3 of these guys will make this roster. They'll be cut, but it's worth noting to watch them playing as a reserve role, because if one of them stands, if they start getting false starts or getting beat, they're done. No matter what. But if one of them shines and looks good and gets some pancake blocks, maybe they won't make the roster, but maybe they can make the practice squad. So that's something to keep an eye on. Also keep an eye on tomorrow night. I want to see this tight end duel of Ian Thomas and Colin Thompson. Is this Ian Thomas's last stand and we're going to save some money by cutting him? Because if we cut him, he's gone. Or is Colin Thompson going to be the one who gets cut, and hopefully we try to sneak him on the practice squad? It's going to be an interesting battle, folks. I don't care either way. I think Ian Thomas has got more upside, but Colin Thompson, in a lot of ways, a safer bet and a cheaper bet. So what to go from there? Now, once Darnold plays his first quarter and a half, we go with Will Greer and P.J. Walker. I myself think the coaching staff has made up their mind and they're going with Walker. Now, is it 100%? No. And it's not even 100% we'll keep both. You got to keep an eye on the waiver wire. Could be a young quarterback gets cut, we can stick on a practice squad. It could be a quarterback gets cut that the coaches think is stronger than either one of these 2 guys, and we put him on a regular 53-man roster. It's going to be interesting to see. But we're going to have to go and look at this. I think Will Greer, I'd like to see him get an equal shot. But if he looks as good as he did last week, and P.J. Walker looks as bad as he did, the coaching staff really, if they don't find another quarterback, they're going to have to go with Greer and let Walker walk, in my opinion. Now, I want that to happen, actually, for you P.J. Walker lovers. I'm sorry I'm not in your crew. But I do feel if I had to put my heart and mind into it, that the coaching staff's probably going to go with P.J. Walker because the experience Rule has with him, and that Will Greer, this might be his time he's going to go. Now, running backs are already in CMC's making a roster, and Chuba Hubbard's second guy. It's between Cannon, Spencer Brown, Rodney Smith, and Bonifant. I think Cannon's going to be the one to make it because I think his special teams ability and returning kicks, slot receiver. I don't think Spencer Brown will, but he could be a practice squad guy. My thinking is we keep a 4th running back is between Rodney Smith and Reggie Bonifant. And I do feel that one of these guys, there's a small chance they'll be on the roster, 53-man, but there's also a good chance that 50-50, one of them is going to be on the practice squad. But it's going to be either one of them's on the practice squad, one of them's on the 53-man roster and the other one's done, or one of them's on the practice squad and the other one's done. So I'm only giving between Rodney Smith and Bonifant, one's on the roster or / one's on the practice squad. The other one is gone. I don't know which one it's going to be. We're going to have to wait and see. Wide receiver-wise, keep an eye out for Omar Bayless and Keith Kirkwood and Zylstra. Zylstra hasn't really done a lot this offseason. I think he's in the driver's seat, but I want to see what Bayless can do. it really helps if you got a competent quarterback, because if you're the guy out there trying to make this 6th or 7th receiver and you got a guy who might not make the team or a guy who struggles at quarterback, it's kind of hard to get a good pass thrown your way. So hopefully our coaching staff can evaluate and see where these guys stand. But let's see how much Bayless plays. Does he make a difference? Let's see what Kirkwood does. We know the coaching staff's higher on him. I like Bayless myself better. And then, of course, you got those with Zylstra because he does have special team ability. He's been around longer. He's a veteran presence. So all three have an upside. I like Bayless's youth and ceiling. Kirkwood's got the coaching staff behind him, and he's played with them. And then Zylstra's got the veteran experience. C.J. Saunders, keep an eye on him, see if he does anything. I don't think he'll make the roster, but I do think he will make the practice squad. And like I said, between Bayless, Kirkwood, and Zylstra, one of them's probably making the team. The other two, I put it in the other video, the other two would make the practice squad. I only see one of those two with Saunders making the practice squad, and the other one's just gone. Now, defensive line battle. I do think it's time to look at Christian Miller. If you don't hear anything from him tomorrow night, folks, I think he's gone. And maybe Washington football team will pick him up. I don't know what his practice squad eligibility will be. He probably does have some. But if we don't keep him on the 53-man roster, somebody like Marty Herney and Ron Rivera will pick him up since they drafted him. Phil Hoskins. Now, if Miller makes the team, Hoskins might not make it. Somebody could poach him. But I think Miller makes the team, Hoskins goes and makes the practice squad. But right now, I'm kind of leaning to Hoskins making it and Miller not. But that's the one battle we need to look for. Corners, all right, I think Taylor's safe, along with Bouye and looking at Jackson, Dante Jackson, and Horn. I think it's between Melvin and Stanley Thomas Oliver. One of them's going to make it, one of them's not, maybe make the practice squad. Stanley Thomas Oliver, to me, he's younger. I see the upside. But Melvin's a veteran presence. Now, if we keep Melvin, Oliver goes to practice squad, I think a team will snatch him up. But if Stanley Thomas Oliver makes it, we cut Melvin, I don't know if he's practice squad eligible. So that's going to be a battle to look at between those two, Melvin and Oliver. Safety-wise, I think Franklin is safe without a doubt the way he's played. I think Robinson, I know he's a little nicked up. I think he is safe. It's between Chandler and Hartsfield if we keep. We might get rid of both. I think one's practice squad, but it's going to be interesting. Maybe we do keep one of these two, especially Robinson goes on a week or two IR. We might keep one. I know the coaches favor Chandler. I like Hartsfield with his ceiling and his youth, and that's who I'd go with. But I just feel some reason that Chandler's the guy the coaches will go with. I would love to get Hartsfield on the practice squad. And finally, folks, let's get a look at Thomas Fletcher tomorrow night. Is he really, I know it's kind of hard because he's a long snapper. Does he get in there? Are they going to start with Jensen to see if Jensen can play and keep a spot? Or are they going to go ahead and let Fletcher play the whole time to see if he'll make a mistake? It's do or die for him. And like I said, I don't think he can get rid of Jensen. And Fletcher, it's going to be a wasted spot, but practice squad eligible unless another team picks him up. So, folks, what do you think of that video? I know we're rehashing and hashing and going back and forth with this 53-man roster till we get down to it and this final week and going into tomorrow night's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I hope that maybe some of these questions are brought forward to help us tomorrow night as we look at this game. Leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. Pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future content, like on the Panthers. And by all means, folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And we will see you on another edition of Carolina Sports Guy.